It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show, Espresso right here on S3. Sisayiqhuba kakuhle inkqubo yethu yanamhlanje with a lot of inspiration. In the quiet moments of early childhood, the foundations for a lifetime are laid. But for many children in rural KwaZulu-Natal, learning challenges can go unnoticed for a very, very long time. Kodwa namhlanje, we follow the story of young Esethu and the dedicated field worker walking beside her journey, showing how early support can change the course of a child's future. This is a story about community, care, and the power of catching challenges early, and how one organization is helping children thrive from the very beginning.
Celebrate the change makers as companies, communities, and civil society work together to build a brighter future for all. Brought to you in partnership with Trialogue.
Siyakwazi is a community-based organization that supports children with disabilities and also support children that have learning barriers in schools and in ECDs.
Inclusive education for me is that everyone gets to learn. Unfortunately, in South Africa, we have very large classes. So you get sometimes 45 children in a grade R, grade 1 class, and it's really difficult to be inclusive. You have got special schools in South Africa, but they're limited.
At Siyakwazi, we have 3 programs, which is inclusion, school readiness, and a 0 to 2 baby program.
Our main program is called our inclusion program, and that supports finding children with disabilities and supporting them in their homes with their families, and then also supporting them to be included in ECD centres, grade R and grade 1 in local schools. We realized when we were working in schools that some children have barriers to learning, have gaps in their learning, and we decided to start our school readiness arm of Siyakwazi. And that, at the beginning of the year, we do a red flag screening that then catches children who are at risk of falling behind. And we work with those children the whole year, supporting the teachers in the classroom, and most of those children catch up. If the children do not catch up at the end of the year, they could possibly have an underlying condition.
I started working at Siyakwazi end of 2023. I go to school and teach those kids and interact with the teachers. We build a really good relationship with teachers. It's where we talk about these children and see what we can do together. When I first saw Esethu, we were at her school. I saw a little girl. She's the tiniest child at school. And when I approached her, I was like, hey, tell me what's your name? She just looked at me. And when I go to her classroom and ask the teacher, what's her story, why she doesn't talk and she doesn't participate in the classroom. Then when we did the screening, she failed the assessment.
Akanankinga nokudlala, inkinga into besiqalile ukuyinotice, khuluma lasendlebeni. Vele uthi uma umbiza mhlawumbe khona umuntu ombingelelayo, uthothi ungathi umzibile kana kabuzi.
With a child like Esethu, we go to home. We also have therapy program for her. We do colors, shapes. We also do some jumpings because physically we need to develop. We also discovered she had infections on both ears. Whenever I come to Esethu's home, the mother and father, they're always involved. They always want to learn together with Esethu. They are very, very involved because they want their child to succeed.
I-therapy yanokuya yakwaSiyakwazi isize kakhulu. Bafika bamfundise izinto, ukukhuluma, ukubiza igama, ngawubona umehluko bamsize kakhulu.
Nanokufundisa umzicolo.
Nasesibhedlela njengoba sifuna ukuhamba esibhedlela, ibona abasibhukhelayo, basinikeze nemali yokugibela. So nje basiza kakhulu, banoxhaso kakhulu.
We support the family holistically because disability depends poverty. So at Siyakwazi, we came up with the strategy because we give parents skills. We have a sewing hub, we have a baking class, and also we have a second-hand shop. If we see that the parent has a potential, then we will hire them to come at our center to do some sewing stuff, because on our therapy room, we have resources that we give to parents whenever they come for therapy. And those resources, they come from our sewing hub.
At Siyakwazi, we have different types of funders. Some are trusts and foundations, and others are CSR funding. FirstRand is one of those funders, and they are specifically funding our school readiness program, where we are finding children with invisible disability. Through this program, we are able to notice that children are not catching up, they have an underlying condition, and how can we support them to access a diagnosis that they need to support them to thrive and grow.
On the second month, when I asked her, what's your name? She was able now to tell me what's her name. What I noticed is that she just needed love and support, someone who will keep on asking her questions. Now she's able to do a lot of things. She's able to name colors, she's able to name shapes, she's able to introduce herself. She's just able to do a lot of things now. She has really improved. So there is hope for Esethu, there is a bright future for her.
This year, in 2025, we have been supporting 164 children with disabilities within KwaZulu and KwaZulu-Natal, where we are based. UNICEF have estimated that 1 in 10 children present with a disability or barrier to learning. That means there's many more children to reach. There's much more to do.
I'm very proud to say that Siyakwazi has done a really great job in the communities. Siyakwazi has helped a lot of families, and we hope to help more and more children.
Oh my goodness, Mzansi. What we have just seen right now is more than a story. It's the ripple effect of belief, care and long-term commitment. And joining us this morning in studio is Gone Gugushe, Head of Social Investing at FirstRand, who helps turn that belief into real-world change through strategic support of early childhood development across South Africa. Please, everybody, let's give her a warm espresso welcome.
Thank you.
What we've just seen now is so heartwarming and truly inspiring. I mean, the first thing is, what inspired you to really support an initiative such as Siyakwazi?
Thank you so much, Kuhle, for having us. So at FirstRand, I mean, we are really driven by our purpose, which is to create a future of shared prosperity for our customers, our employees, and the society that we live in. And the promise that we make is important for us to keep that promise, to say that our prosperity has to be interlinked and intertwined and shared with the society. And so it was important then, I mean, education is one of the most important tools that you can use to really propel progress. And so, you know, education is our biggest area that we support. But within that, within education, we know that the plight of children that live with disabilities, that live with learning difficulties, can be undermined. And so it was important then for us to find organizations that really work with children with disabilities and children with learning difficulties.
And why early childhood education specifically, particularly in under-resourced communities?
Yeah. So we believe that foundational learning, we've seen what our country has really battled with education outcomes. And we believe that this is, and research shows that this is as a result of really foundations not being laid properly. And so for us, it's important that we start really from the grassroots. We start from that early childhood development and we build the building blocks appropriately. And for us, quality is so important.
Of course.
So we really focus on enabling the people around the children, particularly the teachers and practitioners. And of course, as Siyakwazi also does, reaching out to the parents to ensure that that continues into the household.
When we have these conversations about education, particularly in under-resourced communities, we know what the shortcomings are. And we know the importance of, childhood development as well, because as cliche as it may sound, the kids, the children are the future. Right? Why do you believe that it is so underserviced and under-resourced and underfunded as well?
So I really think that education and ECD in particular really battles with a lot of fragmentation. There's lots of little small players, from I think, just a go-go establishing an ECD creche or just taking kids to look after them to formalized schools. There's a lot of fragmentation within that sector, which really then undermines even the channeling of funding that goes into that. And also, I think at a policy level, the various departments that look after the well-being of children, from the Department of Social Development to the Department of Education to the Department of Health, I think even there is, misalignment in policy. We only saw in the last 2 years that grade R was made compulsory and ECD was shifted and moved into the Department of Education, but still the other overall well-being of a child still resides with the other the other policy departments. So that policy fragmentation, I think, really needs to be streamlined, and we need to see kind of harmonization and working together of certain things, from the policy level to the execution and implementation. That fragmentation needs to be resolved somehow.
And hopefully we can address it pretty soon.
Yes, of course. I mean, I think the work that we do as corporates and the work that we do certainly as the FirstRand Foundation, we see it as complementing government. We see it as really providing an additional boost to what government is doing in organizing the sector.
I mean, thank you so much to you and your team at FirstRand for taking this initiative. You touched on some ECD programs that the foundation supports. What impact do you believe that this has had?
So, I mean, we do research. We are led by research in the things that we do. And one of the research that we do is the Thrive by 5 Index. And the Thrive by 5 Index that was recently released in October indicates that there is, I think, at least 45% of our children under 5 are not on track in terms of their developmental milestones. And this is particularly pronounced in children who are not attending ECD centers. And you can imagine how much more pronounced it is in children that are living with disabilities or learning difficulties. And so based on that research, for us, it was then important to make sure that, one, we support inclusion and we support the availability of resources that help children to thrive. We aim to support children to be school ready by the age of 6, and of course literacy and numeracy by grade 4 and digital skills by grade 7. This for us is the continuum that is so important in foundational learning.
The plan is there, the implementation is currently happening. We thank you so much for coming through to Expresso and shedding light on this very, very important initiative and being a champion of education in our communities as well.
Thank you so much.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, stories like Esethu's remind us that community is a big thing, and when investment meets intention and care is placed where it matters most, entire generations are given a stronger start. We have started off this morning with a whole lot of inspiration. As we take a break, sit back and reflect on what more we can do to truly improve our education sector. We will continue our conversation with so much more after the break.